All right, episode 13 of the Steins episodic review. We seem to definitely find ourselves at the climax of the show, at least so far. Everything the first half has led up to. So, anyhow, we get a recap of the end of last episode of CERN's invasion into Future Gadget Lab, and Moeka being the leader of the pack, essentially, who ends up assassinating Mayuri, murdering her, I think with a silenced pistol, for she is not needed, but they seek to take Daru, Makise, and Okabe with them to essentially make them slaves. So they did not have enough time to put their plan into effect of publicizing time travel. Obviously, if you were in the know, you would want to keep one heck of a bottleneck on that type of information. So this would be much expected, but it's quite an unexpected moment of the show. Very good cliffhangeriness. But anyhow, Okabe holds the dead body of Mayuri in his arms. Moeka transitions to aim the pistol at Okabe, demanding he stand up and get the heck away from Mayuri's corpse. Bonkers. Talk about tension. Talk about heaviness. We had really three of the inside circle of who Okabe could really trust, and then we had three kind of on the outside layer, if you want to think about it that way. There's a few different observations one could make. I don't think Daru used the time travel for himself either. You could probably imagine the kind of stuff he would use it for. Good grief. Hentai. It would probably be something to do with 2D women or something. Oh boy. Anyhow. We probably get the opening at that point. I don't know. To be a nice in between, a bridge to where things pan out now. With where everything was going, and then this happens, it's like the show has just been absolutely jettisoned in a very specific, different route of where it was going to go had this not happened. CERN has made their move. Mayuri is dead. Daru, Makise, Okabe, they're going to be taken and probably used as slaves and beaten and tortured until they help them perfect time travel. And then they would get murdered, assassinated, like just dirt. Mayuri was of no use to them, and she was a spectator, so she had to be taken out. So all this makes me wonder of Steins Gate Zero stuff of what are the specifics of that path, not necessarily the path, but the world line itself. Is Ruka a dude or not? That kind of stuff. But anyhow, that's where we kind of end off. Okabe vows on his life and threatens he'll make Moeka pay for what she's done. And here we go. Suzuha, who had left, terrified, breaks in and manages to take down all of the armed thugs. And then there's this weird thug tattoo symbol that's a little noticeable. And then Suzuha grabs a pistol, aims it up at Moeka, and Moeka aims down her pistol at Suzuha. It's the most tense standoff you could fathom. Everything is on the line. Everything is on the line, and they're both aimed at each other near point blank. Very tense moment. Very, very tense. I like the heaviness. I like the serious tone. Those kind of things with Steins Gate or other time travel type anime, or just other somewhat darker anime. It's hard to fathom how Steins Gate Zero is going to be darker. It really is. It really is. Steins Gate was dark enough for my taste, but it sure was worlds better with the serious tone rather than not. It needed the serious tone. So, anyhow, we got this total standoff, and Suzuha reveals here to the others a glimmer of hope. She reveals slowly in a statement. I forget what it necessarily sounded like in the sub, but she says to the others in the room of the glimmer of hope that the TV in the shop downstairs is powered on. It's on right now, meaning they can use the D-mail or the time leap machine, which is 100% untested. And there's the tension of a human testing it out. But anyhow, hopefully I save a thought there. I'm probably going to forget it, but nonetheless, let's continue on. So, with Moeka distracted by that, she kind of looks around because there's a numbers game now. It's like they can manage something because she's the only one up. The rest of the thugs are down, knocked out. So it's Moeka versus all of them. And Moeka armed, Suzuha armed, the rest unarmed, completely vulnerable. It is tense. It is thick in the air. My goodness. But Moeka pans the room because they can all go off in different directions. There's so many different things that could happen. But they don't give us enough time to really... In the heat of the moment there, you're not given time to, ponder all the potential routes that could take. I love that kind of stuff, though. Reminds me of Hunter x Hunter. Towards the start of the third bundle. So, post episode 50 there. Early on there. So, third bundle. Anyhow, so there's a numbers game going on. Suzuha fires the pistol while Moeka is distracted. And Moeka somehow manages to dodge a hit to the head. Good grief. Moeka kicks Suzuha back, which she loses her firearm, her pistol. I think it was a pistol. Pretty much had to be. And then it's just absolute chaos from there. Because now Suzuha has a little disadvantage. And now she fumbled the darn pistol to defend everyone. Or at least fight back. So there's gloom and doom. It's a complete scramble. Chaos. Everybody goes off and does their thing. Suzuha shouting, demanding, they do it now. Do it live. Do it live. This is their shot. Their only hope. Okabe activates the humidifier gadget, purposely fogging the room so that Moeka cannot see to aim or target anyone. So Moeka starts shooting blindly throughout the room. Ugh. Man, oh man. That could... She still would have a fair chance depending on the clip. But, goodness. She probably couldn't get all of them, but... she just starts shooting blindly in the fog. So very smart of Okabe to get that. And it's Okabe and keeps autocorrecting. Okabe and Makise cluster rush to the time leap machine, and Okabe is going to be the one to use it, and Moaka is going to send him back, or at least his memories back, hopefully, and hopefully to the right person and all that. Makise, in the heat of the moment, worried for Okabe because it has no guarantee to work whatsoever. It's untested. They need a human subject, and they are just forced into using the sucker. Makise activates it, but gets shot through by Moaka with her blind shotting, or maybe a little bit of it cleared. And then it's right then as Okabe begins to time leap back. His memories getting sent back into the past, 48 hours back, so 2 days, or whatever the case. And then being back, or not yet, kind of the transition it gives us, a bit of backstory. Okabe talking to Mayuri, so it kind of gives us a Mayuri focus. Tuturu, Mayuri des. Her grandmother died when she was young, and she was stuck thinking about her, visiting the gravesite daily and often, and staying there, staring at the sky, as if she waited to join her, and yet she's so young. Death, really, what better way to say it, just causes the separation, you know. People want to be with the ones they care about, simply said. And then the sun broke through the clouds and reached, she kind of reached to the sky, and this is all like mildly childish, but Okabe didn't want to lose her. He thought she was going to get taken or something. Whatever the case, whatever his mind frame was. He wrapped his arms around her and calls her his hostage as him being a mad scientist. And he blurted out some TV show line, which might be a reference to an actual show over there or something. I don't know what they necessarily believe, if whatever the clouds or whatever the case, the sky opening up or whatever the case, that may have hinted at. I don't know. Mayuri agrees to stay and says her grandma will have to wait for her. Beautiful, beautiful, and lots of caring heart there. Good stuff. It's the Mayuri focus that was pretty well placed in the episode here and show. And then Okabe has several visions of Mayuri again. This is 70 million years ago type thing. Her at a graveyard and her death. This all flashed into his mind. And then here we arrive. 2010, 8/13 at 1665. Okabe under complete stress, duress, you name it. Makise takes notice and becomes curious why the sudden change in his behavior. Okabe recalls all the Moaka shooting and Mayuri dying, and he's just probably has PTSD or something like that at this point. Seeing all that and then being back and everything being normal, it would really mess with anyone, wouldn't it? And he asks of the time, because it's a battle against time. It's almost 5. Mayuri going shopping, and it kind of repeats earlier, or repeat of earlier. What the heck's that? Whatever the case. The time maybe it means, yeah, it probably means the repeat of earlier Mayuri bits of her getting taken out, and yet now she's alive. So the conclusion is the time leap machine was successful. Thankfully so, or else who knows where this would have went. Goodness. Okabe calls off the party that they were going to have and wills all of them to go home, be safe. And he goes after Mayuri to save her. She is number one on his list, his number one priority right now. And Makise ponders that he was fine. He was acting normal until his cell phone went off. And she begins to believe that the time leap machine was successful and occurred, but I don't think she ponders yet why it would be used necessarily, or all the potential possibilities yet. So Okabe ponders the time leap is being unlike the D-mails and doesn't change the world lines. We're just back in time on the same route, essentially. Then we get a toot-through, and Okabe calls out, calls Mayuri's phone. Okabe checks in with Ruka, who I guess isn't a dude, but used to be a dude, but isn't now. It's hard to keep track of everything. He ponders the same world line. Okabe ponders the same world line, meaning the same eventual fate for Mayuri. Things are going to lead back to that if he does not change something. So Okabe is going to try and protect Mayuri from the fate that he knows will happen. Okabe checks in with Ferris. Makise calls Okabe up and calls out that he did time leap. She connected the dots and knows something bad happened. There we go. She must know. Now she's getting to the point where, given enough pondering, that it must be something significant in the future for them to use it when it had huge quantity of risk. They didn't know if it would work, and they needed a human subject. Always great to be a lab rat of sorts. And she demands Okabe explain himself later on. Makise and Daru will leave the lab. They're okay with things for now. Makise tells Okabe not to do anything too crazy. Okabe tells Suzuha not to go to the lab tonight, so he's getting everything fixed. And he asks of Mayuri. Okabe, he gets a tip-off from Suzuha, I think. Okabe finds Mayuri doing her hand reach to star thing, whatever they call it, and yells at her to protect her. So she don't understand things, but Mayuri comes to know he time-leapt back, I think, and he tells her he had no choice, or maybe that's Makise again, I don't know, whatever. Maybe it autocorrected, I don't know, but it says Mayuri, so he tells her he had no choice and that he'll explain it later. Yeah, I think that was Mayuri. So Okabe goes to the train station to escape with Mayuri, his best idea. Then at that point he recalls the bomb threat that closed it, and guess what? Just what they need. A thug is armed and gets a gun to Okabe's backside. Oh boy, the tension is in the air once again. And a man going from point A to point B shoves the thug away from Okabe long enough for him and Mayuri to start trying to get some distance. And then various men chase after them, the same from before. So it's a street chase race around town. Okabe gets tackled to the ground. The numbers are just too high. But quickly for a moment, though, with that, before the time leaping, the Suzuha thing, taking down all the armed guards, that's another very, very slight unrealism. Very slight unrealism that crept into the show. And those are unfortunate because this has such a serious tone and it has to have the realism. Has to have the realism to it. So it's just another little minor criticism in there, but it is what it is. So Okabe gets tackled. Mayuri runs into the street and gets hit and killed by a oncoming car. Okabe wanted her to run off without him. She had another one of her blonde moments, runs into the street. Perfect idea. I don't mean to make fun of it too much, but it is what it is. So Mayuri, there's this bloodstream thing, and essentially it indicates that Mayuri has died yet again. So this is a second time she has died, and that's with Okabe trying to fix it. Moeka gets out of the car. She must have had road rage and calls a report to someone reporting to her higher-ups about Mayuri's death and Okabe's capture, essentially, at this point. Okabe manages to escape, manages to create enough distance between him and all the thugs. And essentially would know or would have a good idea where he would go. But nonetheless, those two slight realism criticisms aside, I wasn't that concerned about it the first time around. You're just really in the moment. But on a rewatch, you notice these little realism critiques. So that's... wish there was a way they could have done it a little different, but nonetheless. Okabe escapes and time leaps himself back again and vows upon his life to save Mayuri no matter what. You know, that kind of a thing. So now we get back to 2010, 8/13 at 16:17. Okabe calls off the party yet again. We get a toot-a-roo. Okabe calls Mayuri's phone. Okabe ponders he needs to find her as soon as possible, or otherwise she'll have the same fate yet again, the same endpoint, same endgame. Okabe calls up Ruka over Mayuri. She is there with her, and he emphasizes he wants her stopped, and she does indeed get stopped. So we get a toot-a-roo. And Okabe arrives, and Mayuri reveals she was going to go over to see her cosplay friend prior to coming to the lab. So that's why he couldn't find her prior. We're learning information by going back again and again. Okabe tells her he canceled the party at the lab and runs off with her. Okabe talks of it, taking a trip with them, him and her. And Ruka gets all blushy at the idea for them to, suddenly take off together, run away. Oh boy. And Okabe takes Mayuri en route to the subway instead. Instead of the trains, to the subway. She takes notice of him really keeping a hold on her hand, clenching her hand and all that. On the way there, a suspicious car with a man watching their movements is spotted out. Okabe notices, changes the plan, runs off with her, taking a different route into the subway. Makise emails Okabe wondering what on earth is going on. She wants info. Of course, she's concerned. Okabe and Mayuri wait in the subway station for it to arrive, the sub, to transport her away to safety. Mayuri repeats her statement of before about the watch, just like prior to her first death. So it kind of becomes essentially what people might understand at this point, symbolic of her being out of time and the same result that is probably going to occur. Okabe tells her but anyhow, it's like something about the watch. I just wound it, type of a deal. Some sort of statement like that. Okabe tells Mayuri the train station was shut down from a bomb threat, so they have to take the subway. Mayuri tells Okabe she wants to ask him about a lot of things at this point, and asks him to promise he'll explain it once all this is over. And he does promise. Mayuri apologizes for not being as useful as everyone else. They're more knowledgeable on all sorts of the time travel-y stuff and this and that. And she finds herself to be less useful. Maybe not less valued, but at least less useful. Okabe mentions that they'll have that party, and they're talking about it in such certainty, and then we keep getting a panning, or not a panning shot, but a shot of the oncoming subway train of sorts. Mayuri adds in someday I know it, referring to the party they'll have and everything getting explained and all that. And here we get this just slow-mo Nei rushing to Mayuri from behind, finding her sponsor, whatever the case, and Nei trips, and here might be another ever so slight realism critique, but that whole deal seemed to be a little unrealistic. But nonetheless, it probably could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it just seems kind of inconsistent. Probably the weight difference and how it was presented and all that is just a little bit of room for where there could be a little realism critique. And that's so important to have as little of that as possible with something like this, where you have everything tense, realism, heavy, tension, all that type of stuff. But Nei trips and accidentally shoves Mayuri, knocking her directly into the path of the oncoming subway train, and very swiftly, right before Okabe's eyes. Like, he was holding on to her as well. That's what's also a little realism critique. Nonetheless, he saw before his eyes Mayuri get thrown in front of an oncoming subway train. And whatever the case that happened there, I don't think we got the most insight into it, but nonetheless, whether she got out there and it hit, or whether she got down and it, oh gosh dang. So, or maybe a combo. Maybe she got hit by it, then got run down by it. Run over, rather. Oh gosh. Mayuri's third death. Absolutely absolutely horrible. Nasty. And Okabe just horrified. But Nay meant it for good, and I forget what they call it. Her face there. Like, traumatized beyond belief. You know. And she was rambling about something that she didn't mean to. But her face there. And the way they presented it, good gosh. Ugh. No little bugger should have to deal with that. Jeez. Anyway, Okabe picks up her broken pocket watch. You know, must have broke from getting dropped, whatever. And then the visions of 70 million years ago type of thing, and Okabe states he doesn't care what it takes and vows he'll save her no matter what. So before, he didn't say it to that extent, but now he does. And then we get the cliffhanger ending there. So Meguri just ending up dying and dying and dying. And Okabe trying to revert it. Derail that path to something much better. So Okabe failed even with time travel here. So what's it going to take? What's it going to take? So anyhow, I don't know what my favorite part of the episode would be. It's just all chaos, all tense, all heavy. I don't know what my favorite moment is, and I don't remember too many thoughts of when I did it blind, when I saw it the first time. You certainly don't think of those little realism critiques the first time around. You don't. You're just absolutely glued. And it puts you really into Okabe's shoes. Really, really well. That's an important point. If it was whoever else's angle, it wouldn't work as well. But the no, I guess I shouldn't talk about the movie because that could potentially spoil, but whatever. The movie kind of takes a bit of a change. It kind of takes the angle of Kurisu. So anyhow, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite moment is. It's kind of just like it's all kind of level to me. So nothing really necessarily stands out. Probably all the chaos at the lab and the first time leap that occurs. Probably all that. So it was chaos. So anyhow, that's that. Yeah, I forget what they call the face Nay made, but there's a certain name for it. I think the Japanese term for it, for that kind of expression or that kind of shot in anime. I forget what it's called. Anyhow, that's it. So we'll move on to episode 14. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know your favorite moment of the episode and your thoughts. And as always, I will see you up ahead. Take her cool.